And as I'm filming this, and as you can see, I'm gonna move it here so you can see Venus has just ingressed into Sagittarius. Um, and she's leaving Scorpio, where she had a deep dive into relationships, trading, women, sisters, sisterhood, beauty and the Venusian, dark beauty and the Venusian. And now she's kind of out of the darkness into the light, into a fire sign, mutable fire sign that is ruled by Jupiter. And look, where is Jupiter? It's still retrograde, so it's still reflective, it's still considering things. Those of you who have seen my other videos when I mentioned the invisibility of Venus and sidereally, she's only out of invisibility in December 2nd. So depending on the orb you're working with, um, and when will we see her in the skies actually. And now she's ruled by Jupiter already. So we have a lot of reflection about concepts of freedom in relationship, freedom for the Venusian, freedom for women, freedom in general, okay? And how do we have relationships that are more free and that allow for the pursuit of our sort of a kind of, it's not life missions, it's more like the MC, but definitely a spiritual growth that is Jupiter and finding our belief, what we not necessarily worship, but what we study, how do we fulfill ourselves in life and have this feeling of fulfillment. So we are reflecting on these things. And now Jupiter is very strong, even though it's retrograde in Pisces. And Venus is entering Sagittarius with quite a strong Jupiter. It's true that Mars here is applying to square Jupiter. And this is something that we need to keep in mind as we are going through this transit. Because as Mars is moving backwards, Jupiter is still also in its retrograde movement until it's going to start moving direct. And then in January, Mars begins to move direct. But Jupiter will already be in Aries. Um, so Venus, okay, all things Venusian. She's ruling the scales, right? Libra and Taurus. And so she is the things that are of Libra and of Taurus, okay, relationship, heuristics, politics. Libra is a very political sign, art expression, finances. With Taurus is also nourishing food, that comfort food, lands, or a distribution of lands, if that makes sense. All those things are now being seen under the heavens of how do we do all that, keeping in mind that we also want to be free. We want to have possessions, but don't want to be tied down to our possessions. We want our possessions to serve our spiritual growth. We want to have land, but we also want to be able to travel, Sagittarius, to grow spiritually. Or we want to travel in order to meet other people, in order to have relationships. Not necessarily romance, but also romance. Venus and Sag can be meeting someone when you travel or long distance just because of the traveling effect. It can also be meeting someone when you're learning higher studies. Um, so you could meet somebody romantic wherever that's Sagittarius house. However prolonged, if you will meet or however prolonged it will be, depends on other factors, of course. But this is the Venus that favors the type of relationships that have a lot of freedom, that teach you something, that help you grow spiritually. And so she's ingressing while she's trining, still trining Jupiter. She's still in orb. Um, she's well, it's not really squaring the moon. I mean, it's okay, but it's not like in orb and she's out of it, like she's leaving that. Um, so it's not something that I'm too concerned about. Well, the moon is actually applying to square Venus. It's transient. I'm not too worried about that. Other than that, she's trying in Black Moon Lilith. It's not true Lilith. It's Black Moon Lilith, and this is an interesting trine that connects her with Lilith in Cancer. And what is Lilith about? Our instinctual raw drive. Okay, the bodily desires, the body intuition. And in Cancer, it has to do with our emotions, with our fertility. So she's in good condition to conceive new theories, new paradigms, and new relationships that support emotional drive, the emotional rawness that we sometimes need to be fertile. Okay, the emotional expression to express the drive of the body. Okay, hysteria, which people call hysteria. We do need to express our emotions authentically without being considered hysterical. By the way, regardless of our gender, right? So, this is something that very much coincides with that notion of liberation, freedom, liberating your emotions, but also liberating your bodily drives, okay, your sexual drives that contributes to fertility. And you need a lot of freedom, and you need a lot of not only to be, safe on the land, but also to be safe when traveling. Okay, to have that ability to be social, be meet other religions, other cultures, other philosophies of life, and learn about them in a more civil way. Um, so you could actually meet somebody with different religious background than yours, or cultural background that's coming from abroad, or that has a different school of thought, or you could actually form a certain school of thought, or you could actually change your own philosophy and meet someone on the basis of that is actually nourishing to your new path, which you're maybe reconsidering. So, all in all, it's a lovely transit. Let's see, I think we have the ability to animate the chart. I think we have the ability. Let's see what's going on. Okay, so right now, so she will be squaring the moon. That's very transient. Basically tomorrow. And yeah, still Jupiter. Okay, I want to see what will she go through. What will she go through, huh? And let's look at the, yes, November 20th. Remember that we have an upcoming new moon in Sagittarius that is very nice. I see that Mercury is about to conjunct, so it will conjunct on the 21st of November. Mercury will conjunct Venus. And this is beautiful because Venus, it delves into Sagittarius land. And so, how do we do trade, art, beauty, relationship, romance in this land of the free? And then Mercury comes and it communicates. Okay, it has a message to deliver. So, and Mercury, wait, Mercury, oh, the lines. And this will trine Chiron. So we have it will apply the tricharon, so we have a bit of a chance to kind of heal something around our drive, maybe our initiatory drive, a sexual even male drive because of Mars, right? Aries is ruled by Mars, so Chiron in Aries is Chiron Mars ruled. Stuff relating to Mars could be healing there. Why? Because we change our relationship and we change our worldview about relationships, and we change our relationships to be to such that reflect our worldview. Okay, we severed the relationships that were no longer serving when Venus was in Scorpio, and now we changed our minds and we changed our communication styles, more liberated, more authentic, more free. And if that fits our lives, then yes, oh, we could be starting to see a bit of a bloom, a bit of a recovery there in those Marcy things that could have been initiation, could have been, physical or emotional or anything that was difficult because we didn't have the right mindset to do so. Um, and even though Mars is still, it is trining the moon already, the moon is already leaving that, but um, but it is exactly squaring Neptune. Okay, so Mars is not so strong there, but we do have some help from Venus and Mercury, that trying Chiron to sort of approach that issue in a less Martian way and in a more Venusian way, in a more communicative way, in a more liberated, authentic, less ashamed, perhaps, that can reach breakthrough or good results. So this happens around November 21st. It can also be that this is a time where we will receive a new message, new philosophies, new theory. Can also be new gender theories that we might hear about, or messages about traveling that might be relieved or a bit liberated, and that is all in all wonderful and good news. Um, and the moon is decreasing, so it will be a culmination of something, a message that is a culmination of something, but not so much something that is starting now. It's more like a culmination of something that needed to happen, or the process of thought of the whole, since the Venus Kazemi and Mars Kazemi in Libra. So let's go on. I just love this astroseek. Just can't stop talking about this. Oh, Saturn. Well, we'll do fine. We begin before that, I hope. So, yeah, still going on. 7 degrees. And another one. Oh, this is important. November 22nd, the sun is already in Sagittarius. As she just ingresses, this is a good thing to save this one. So if we just want to look at the ingress of the sun, um, we see ascendant here in Aquarius, and of course sun moving into Sagittarius, happier. This vertex thing, while it can be meaningful, I'm not reading into it, not because it's not meaningful, but because it's not predictable, and it's so personal that if you have anything general to say about this vertex, do let me know. I haven't ran into it. Not it can be that I'm just not educated, uh, but I haven't ran into the meaning of that, like for a mundane or general meaning. Um, so yeah, uh, but the sun will ingress while she's trine in Jupiter, still trine in Jupiter and Neptune, sort of a kind of a, and that's a lovely ingress all in all. Um, so the sun will be doing lovely. And here comes the moon, and the moon is approaching. Okay, this is interesting. Wednesday 23rd, the moon will be, like around this day, the moon will be oppositioning Uranus. So you might get a bit of a shaky feeling. Don't Too dark jokes, yes, but you know what? Seriously, if you are the kind of person who tends to uh, who's sensitive about, I don't know, hurting themselves or any sort of ideation of suicide or something like that, then you know prepare ahead of time. Take whatever helps you, whatever assists you. Make sure that it's next to you. It's Wednesday 23rd here, so you yeah, it's Wednesday 23rd here, so you would probably feel it at Wednesday, at Tuesday 20, no, at Thursday. For you, it will already be Thursday or near Thursday. So Wednesday evening, Thursday, if you are in the Americas, Wednesday if you are around Europe, and probably even Tuesday if you're around Australia. So watch out, okay? If you have any tendency that, the moon is going to be in Scorpio, it's never an easy placement for anyone. If you have something in Scorpio, it's going to oppose the planet of suicide, Uranus. So if you or anyone you love has any dangers with that, prepare ahead of time so that you can be safe, okay? Take precautions. Other than that, it can revolutionize your world emotionally. It's not so comfortable, but it can be actually a liberating through purging experience. Just 2 days, and then we come to. Okay, I want. Let's go. Let's do it a bit with the hours because I do want to touch on the new moon. I will touch it in length. Where did I go? Here's the moon. Okay, it's yeah. So the new moon will be trining Lilith and still in orb to trine Jupiter. Venus will trine. Venus will apply to trine Chiron, and Mercury too. Very beautiful full moon. I'm not gonna touch it super in length right now because, like, I want to make a video for that. Um, Great. I'm doing a print screen. Oh, done. Uh, but this is a very beautiful full moon. Everybody's been talking about this full moon, new moon, this new moon of Sagittarius, and rightfully so. It's good stuff to discuss. Yes, Lilith here is about to apply to Pluto. Is the word? Yes, is about to apply to oppose Pluto, and that's something to keep in mind. I might talk about it separately, but we do have this mitigation of the new moon. So there's a bit of a kite shape here that is very interesting in itself to look at. While it's not a simple opposition, and any opposition to Pluto is not simple. Lilith and Pluto is absolutely not simple. Um, but there is mitigation. There is something to look forward to. It's a beautiful new beginning. It's one of those, it's one of those days where you just don't have anything bad to say. Like even Uranus is like not almost leaving orb of the square with Saturn, or in terms of the tight orb. Like it's looking good. There's nothing to see. Even Mars is like not exactly an orb to square Neptune. It's still squaring, right? But it's one of those days when you really don't have anything to complain about. So that's November 24th. Probably will do a new moon video. It's a lovely energy. Now let's go back to one day and move on. 25th. Venus, 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 Venus. Yeah, still trining Chiron. All in all, very nice. Okay, 27th November. If you are in the Middle East or Europe, 28th, probably if you are in, or 27th evening if you are in the Americas. or 25th if you are 26th if you are in Australia or Asia. Venus will uh, begin to apply to oppose Mars. And it's not a terrible one, but it's also something to keep in mind. Okay, a bit of tension between Mars words might be something that Venus wants to take vacation from. Okay, while it can be attractive day, it might not be the best for smooth conversations. So a bit of a tension there, and tension between Mercury and Mars. Not the end of the world, but know that it's happening and know that this is what's happening um, with Venus. And then she begins to apply to square Neptune, which is this is the time where around 29th November, okay, or 28th Australia, 29th Euro, Middle East, 20, and also 29th evening to 30th in the Americas. This is the time where I would refrain from going for it if you get hit on by someone new. First of all, Mars is retrograde. So if you're initiate, if you're the Venus person, know that Mars is retrograde, which is not necessarily a bad thing. A short romance is not something that Venus in a mutable fire sign disdains, right? But when there is both this tension and Mars retrograde, I kind of feel like um, it can break up with harsh words, and it's not the end of the world kind of thing, but it's not the time that I would begin something new. And because Venus is squaring Neptune, this is a time where you can get delusional, you can idealize that other person, and then the devaluation will soon come. So you will end up to be the person who is disappointed, who is doing ideation and devaluation, or the other one will do that to you. And so this is not the time where I would begin a new venture. Also, this is a time where if any theory, if any message, anything comes out at this time, it can um, be a bit dreamy, a bit uh, right now, of course, the Mars is still squaring Neptune, so we get it from the Mars side, and I'm recording Gemini, a podcast. So that is also an issue. But with Venus, Neptune, draw, sing, paint, with the themes that you're inspired by. But don't start anything like a relationship or a business investment right at these days. Venus. Okay, still squaring the moon, oppositioning Mars. Okay, 18th degree. She's beginning. Okay, in December 1st, this is when she almost goes into being visible. Okay, in the sky. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is based on sidereal astrology, based on basically the interpretation of Crassio Tassio about Venus invisibility. So I'm going according to that because I find it quite accurate. So Venus is almost invisible. She's going to be invisible on December 2nd or December 3rd. Um, and so you know that it's always darkest before the dawn. So this is where she's in the 18th degree, which is considered a problematic degree by degree theory of Nicola Stoyanovich, rest in peace. Um, so that's a problematic degree for Venus to be in. She does square the moon. Yes, it is transient, but yes, that can be a time of discord between the emotional and sensual nature, or perhaps essentially free, but then there are emotional ties. The moon in Pisces wants to merge, wants to be one with. So it can be something as simple as that, but it can be more than that. So again, not a time to start anything meaningful to you unless you're just painting or writing, or that your conception is a painting, that your conception is a work of art, or watching movies. Also, not the time that I would think of traveling, actually. If you can avoid traveling on that day, not necessarily because something can go wrong, but more because you won't enjoy that so much. And definitely not to start a romance or to do a romance. This could be a romance that could help make you feeling unwhole, because your emotional and sensual nature are not operating correctly, or in harmony, basically. So, 19, yes, we still have the problem, but the moon is already leaving that position, and conjuncting Jupiter. Okay, a lot of you are going to, this is actually important to talk about because a lot of you are going to have this, trying to have a magical option, like a magical time to do magical practice when the moon conjuncts Jupiter. And yes, I think when the actual conjunction, wow, it's like exactly. Look at this. Okay, this is happening in the time. This is the time of Beersheba, Israel. This is happening at like right at this. Like take a screenshot of that if you do want to do magic. So and change the location to your location, because this is like on the minute. Jupiter Moon conjunction on the minute, and a lot of you are going to try to do magic. Take in take in mind, yes, Mars is far enough and it's beautiful. Take in mind, what are you trying to do with that? Okay, what kind of abundance do you want from Jupiter? um and Venus is like, the moon is leaving the aspect with Venus here. Okay, so even though but then Venus is ruled by Jupiter. So take in mind that in Sagittarius we have Sun, Venus, and Mercury, and not all of them are in good aspects, you know. So we have this Mars thing. Oh, here the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, and we have this aspect of Mars that's in 27th, 27th Gemini, and just something weird here. No, it's in 18th Gemini. Yeah. So they are leaving this aspect with Mars because Mars is retrograde, but you know it's still in orb. So beware that you will have Mars affecting this election. So whatever you do, either you take precautions and you just, have your methods to emphasize the Jupiter moon. What the heck is going on here? Wait, I think. Yes, this is okay. Friday is the 20. Friday the 22nd, but this is in Israel, so you change it to your location. This is the chart. Anyway, this election is affected by Mars. Okay, while it's not in orb for Jupiter, there are things here in a Jupiter ruled sign and that are opposing Mars, and those things are Venusian and Mercurial. Okay, and the Sun is not really making like any favorable aspects here. So yes, she tries Chiron, but look at her, the way she works with Mars is not so happy. So um it might not be a love talisman, and if it is an abundance talisman, uh, I like, make sure you understand what you want to achieve with that election. Okay, just saying that. So it's a beautiful, like, it's on the spot. It's definitely Moon conjuncting Jupiter. Um, but like you tweak it around and see how do you work with that and what do you want to achieve with that, so that you will not have those sudden Mars things to do with that. So you can have like a really loving relationship or a lot of abundance going for you, and then I don't know, somebody says something nasty, um, or there are words that hurt this relationship, or something happens, and um, I don't know. Just pay attention. Okay, so that was the magical election day. Venus here, yeah, still same aspects. Um, mm, mm, Again, squaring Jupiter. Venus square Jupiter in itself is not necessarily a bad thing. It can be too much of a good thing, but because she is opposing Mars and is in a bit of an orb there, then just pay attention that that's around. And okay, a lot of fortune. Again, I don't know what to say about this as a general thing. If you happen to have a lot of fortune in 25th Gemini, then that may be a thing for you. Um, but I don't delineate this because I don't have anything to say about that on a mundane level or on a general level. Then she begins to square Jupiter, Moon in Gemini, and here she is already in Capricorn. No, this is Mercury. Mercury ingresses into Capricorn. A good time to see. Take a snapshot of this one too. Um, and Mercury, yeah. So, yeah, this is beginning to tightly square Jupiter here. Not a terrible thing. Again, it can be too much of a good thing. It can be your desire to expand and your desire to relate are a bit at odds. But it can also just magnify relationships and magnify abundance. So it's not necessarily bad. Mm. And she's just applying to square Jupiter tightly. Let's see, I'm not missing. Okay, we have Moon opposition in Venus. So this is going to be already the full moon. We're heading for the full moon, and the moon is going to be, um, yeah, the moon is going to be in Sagittarius. I'm not going to talk about the full moon right now. It's already in December, okay? Um, so the moon is going to be in Gemini, and Sun Sagittarius, and Venus is going to oppose the moon after the full moon. Okay, it's not the day of the full moon, but after the full moon, she opposes the moon. Again, if it's not a natal thing, not something I would worry too much about. I would just not start a relationship on this date because you could have your emotional and sensual nature at odds or your finances and emotions in conflict. Okay, this is something that you don't want, especially with Mercury already making this opposition to the moon. Um, so, yeah, this is this is the tight square. So this is happening in December 10th or 11th or 9th, depend on where you are in the world. When Venus tightly squares Jupiter, some of you might want to use it as an election because she's no longer doing anything terrible with Mars. Um, and the moon, while it's applying, if you get the moon a bit earlier, this could be a good election, okay? This could be a good election for your. But the thing is that the moon is not touching Jupiter, so you don't get that Jupiter configuration. The moon is going to be in Cancer. Meh. No. You're not going to get that Jupiter thingy that you want to get out of it. Maybe earlier? No, it's only later. Let's see. Let's do a couple of hours. Maybe maybe I can find an election. How did I get here? How did you get here? Why is the moon in Pisces? It was in Cancer. Oh, I did 6 months, not 6 hours. Oh gosh. Let's do 6 hours. Yeah, I was so scared because I thought that I did the 6 months when I last time when I did 6 hours, but no. So yeah, what's going on here? Moon, 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 moon. No, I want you. Um, 9. Now let's do another 6 hours. Where are you, moon? Where are you, moon? I wanted to try Venus. Now she's already getting into Capricorn. Oh, not gonna work. I want it. No, it's not gonna do this trine again. If you didn't get it last time we did the trine, it's not gonna do it again. So yeah, so we don't have an election because the moon is not applying to Jupiter. We need the moon to apply to Jupiter to get the Jupiter benefic for a magical election. Um, but yeah, this is already when Venus ingresses into Capricorn, finishing her journey in Sagittarius. All in all, lovely time for Venus. Okay, remember December 2nd, she comes into out of her invisibility mode. So as of December 2nd, except for the dates that we talked about, where she like opposes or squares the moon or like opposes Mars, we had we have a bunch of just beautiful time for Venus, a bunch of beautiful elections for your Sagittarius house, which I didn't do, even though it is my 10th house and I should have done right now. But just all in all, lovely time. Lovely time for your ingresses. So you need to see where is it in the chart for you. Uh, and you're gonna have a whole new beginning on around the 24th, 25th, like after the moon becomes visible in the new moon. There's just joyous, okay? Some of the weight is being lifted off the shoulders of many of us, especially the fixed signs. Um, this Jupiter season. So enjoy the waters, enjoy the skies, enjoy traveling. Be mindful of your connections. Um, just don't overdo it, and you'll probably be fine. It's all in all a wonderful time, very optimistic time for Venus there. And I'm gonna do another episode about the full moon, about the new moon separately. So have a lovely soon to come Sagittarius season or Venus in Sagittarius season. If you wonder about me, I am doing readings. Doing I can take pretty much any question that you have, and if I don't, then I will tell you right from the get-go. Usually I notice that your questions tend to coincide with either your perfected time lords, perfected year, annual perfection, whatnot, or Uranus placement. So that is why would you see astrologer, basically Uranus placement. So feel free to ask. I do take readings. It's $50 for a reading. I'm reachable on Twitter. I'm Tali Shire on Twitter. Instagram, I'm Shelly Youngblood. You turn to me. I don't turn to you. And so I am on enough social media platforms so that you can verify that it is me. Um, so if somebody turns to you, they're like, no, they're not me. Um, so that's a way for you to communicate with me to make sure that you are safe and that you found me and that it's your choice to do a reading. And if you like what you see, then you can subscribe to my channel. I do take requested videos, so you can see. And I'm thinking to bring also also new types of content into this, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm open to suggestions. If you have a request, write me. This is what the comments section is for. So yeah, I think I said all of the share, subscribe, like thingy, click the bell thingy, and have a lovely day thingy. Thanks for the likes.